Welcome back to Equal Time Soccer. I'm Mark Pavratsky here at the world-famous Blackheart Bar, and I'm joined by a former UMAC Defensive Player of the Year, an all UMAC player, someone who played in UWS's only national tournament appearance, and the pride of Edina High School as well, Morgan Philliber.
Hi.
All right. Thanks for joining. You're just a second-year coach. You were coaching last year at Buena Vista, which I've been there. I went there maybe 20 years ago when I was in college for an academic reason as a non-athlete. But what was it like transitioning into coaching? I mean, it's still something pretty new for you.
Yeah, it was definitely – so my path to coaching wasn't something I knew right away that I wanted to do. I started college as a marketing major. I was like, I'll go work some 9-to-5 job, enter the real world once I'm done playing soccer.
Yeah.
I actually my sophomore year, and I was like, this isn't cutting it. This isn't what I want to do. So I transitioned to exercise science, that kind of realm. I was like, maybe I'll be an athletic trainer. So I'm kind of in sports still.
Yeah.
X, Y, and Z. And then I looked at my head coach, who I'm super thankful for, that pushed me towards this.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, I think I want to stay in coaching. And she was like, do it. I have full faith that you can do this. Do it. So I was like, okay, I'll do it. So I dropped a bunch of the super hard courses I needed for athletic training. And I was like, I'm going to focus on coaching a lot more. I was working with the local high school as a volunteer assistant. So I was building that experience while I was still playing.
Yeah.
And then the opportunity opened at Buena Vista almost immediately after graduating. I'd maybe been graduated for 3 months.
Yeah.
I applied and then I moved down there a month later.
Wow. What high school were you volunteering at? Was it in Superior?
Yeah, Superior High School.
Yeah, nice. I was going to ask you later, did you see that the new women's team that started in Superior this summer, what's it? Now I'm blanking on the name, but it's Superior City FC, yeah.
Yeah, that honestly makes my day. Soccer in Superior was very male dominated before the pivot of UWS's women's program and the high school program now being more successful. It was very male dominated with UWS and then Duluth FC. And having that opportunity grow in that area where I could see some of my former teammates even playing on it and being super successful was super invigorating, because women's soccer is exciting and deserves that platform.
Yeah, they were wonderful because they were one of the teams that was really public, and it made it really easy to follow, and they were just super local. So that was a really cool thing. So you played both the D3 conferences, because you started with Concordia, which I'll ask later, but then now you're in the NSIC. So I'm wondering, obviously a higher standard, but how does it compare to what you experienced, playing?
Yeah, as playing, the game's way faster than what I played at. And it's less about being big, fast, strong. And it's more about, yes, you need to be big, fast, strong, but you also need to be able to play the game at a super high level, which has pushed me a lot as a coach, where I need to be able to be all right, you need to be fit, but you also need to understand every technical and tactical point that I need to give you, which is super exciting and pushes me, but also pushes the people that I recruit and I work with.
Yeah. You've already played some of the best teams too. You played Minot, you played Bemidji State. You played Concordia too, but with Minot, you really almost got a draw, which for people who follow the NSAC would have been a huge upset. They're perennial contenders. Talk about just getting that, and then I got to ask about the goal in the game later too.
Yeah, so that was a whirlwind of emotions. We got down a goal and we were all right, we have to keep fighting. We can't give up. We had our rhythm that day. You could just feel it. If you were the people that were there, we could feel it. It was just electric. I'm getting goosebumps talking about it. And we go into halftime. Oh gosh, I can't remember what I think it was 1-0 going into half. Mm-hmm. The goal happens that we score, which we could talk about more.
Yeah.
And it's a whole game changer. We don't score a ton of goals at Crookston. So us scoring a goal just in itself is a big deal. But coming back and tying a match is something they've never really done before.
Yeah.
So that was a culture shock. And unfortunately, we couldn't keep the draw or get ahead of Minot. But it really showed what we are capable of, and that nobody can go in and just be this is an easy game. Yeah. The girls have a lot of grit and a lot of hard work that they show out there.
Yeah. Yeah, and and there's always a chance of tipping, one of the top teams because they maybe overlook you because they just think, we're going to get a result. And that was cool. The goal, the reaction was so pure. In the NSIC piece I wrote last week, I used the picture because it was such a good reaction. Brooklyn Fishbach scored. They had played keeper last year and they had been a field player too. But I was wondering, you were just a keeper in college. When's the last time you scored a goal?
Superior, we had our ups and downs with numbers. I actually had to play in the field a couple times because of our numbers. Right. So I know what that feels like. I never had to fully make the transition from one position to another.
Yeah.
But for her, it's all about her heart. Brooklyn Fishbach is one of the most down to earth human beings I've ever met. And every time she goes out there, we know that we are going to get 100% effort from her and she's going to give her very best effort. And that's a big thing for her. And I think that's why she's now scored 2 goals against 2 top conference opponents because she works incredibly hard.
Yeah. A good reward for a player. Yeah, they're putting in that work. It clearly shows so far. How many female coaches have you had? You mentioned maybe one in college. So how many have you had? Because I meet players who've never had one sometimes.
I'd give her maybe 1 or 2 in my youth career. I had Katie Offet at Edina High School, and then I had Allison and Marissa at Superior. So I've actually had quite a few female coaches.
That's cool. Yeah. Well, and I mean, it's that I'm sure part of it, is you're someone in your role on the team now, the head coach, Neil, is it Menktello? How do you say that? Menktello. And so, obviously maybe it's also you're someone who can relate to them because you're a former player. You played, women's college soccer. So I'm sure, is that a kind of role you see yourself playing, being an assistant now?
Yeah, it's definitely a fine line where I can relate a lot to them. I get a lot of what they're going through, everything from the academic load to the social prioritization that they go through and things like that. But also there's the fine line that I have to set the boundary with them where it's not I'm not your friend, but I'm your coach, but I'm willing to have a friendly relationship with you. So that's a lot of what we're working through right now because I'm only 24 years old. I have players that are 22, 23, and I'm we are way too close in age.
Yeah, it is funny. Well, yeah, it's funny. And I mean, even, Neil is an experienced coach, but still it's his first year as well. So yeah, and he's not a super old guy either. I mean, maybe to the college players they think he is, but yeah. What are your strengths? I mean, you said you started coaching too, when you were still a player. What do you feel like your strengths are? I'm sure you have a long way to go to being the best coach you can be, but what do you do well, and how are you a positive influence, do you think, as an assistant?
Yeah, I'd say my strength is my problem-solving skills, especially as a goalkeeper. Yes, you can have the technical skills, you can have the understanding of goal kicks, I do this and all of that, but soccer's super unpredictable where you have to be able to adjust and adapt within play. And then I would say that's my strength is being able to adapt how I coach within a match where maybe we predict them to come out in a 4-4-2 or a 4-3-3, and then they show up in something completely different.
Yeah.
How do I help them and adapt my coaching where they're not getting confused between different formations or different coaching points?
Right. Yeah, that's definitely something. I played a little bit of goalie, and you do feel like if you're doing it well, you are seeing more of the game because you're able to just watch it. So it should be something that you're able to bring into it for sure. And then you have isn't the other assistant a former keeper too, from the team? So you got a lot of keeper power.
Yeah, we have a student assistant. Her name's Catherine. She's a former goalkeeper for the Golden Eagles. Yeah, we've got a lot of goalkeeper experience on staff, which helps a lot because goalkeepers see the game super differently, and goalkeepers need a lot of attention. So it helps having an extra set of hands when we're running drills and doing things like that.
Well, and like you said, when you're a team trying to climb up the table in the NSIC, you take a lot of shots on goal. So it's not a bad thing to have a lot of keeper insight. Yeah. Is recruiting part of your gig? Because it's such a small team of coaches. I mean, is that something you're doing? And is it right now? Because it's kind of fall season and stuff.
Yeah, so I'm recruiting all the time, year round. The clock doesn't stop for me. I have to be working towards it. We've had a few kids come on campus during the season because that's a great time to see what it's like here at Crookston.
Yeah.
I take a big load of it on. we're already planning like postseason. Where are we going? What are we doing? Where do we spend our time? But yeah, it's a lot of work because when you're not maybe a top team, we don't have the same name recognition that some people in our conference do. So we've got to put in a ton of work to get kids here.
Yeah, and you're just further away from players because you're able to get some regional things like players from the Dakotas, players from Moorhead, obviously, in northern Minnesota. But it's sparse. I mean, I played high school soccer in northern Minnesota, and our conference was the entire northwest part of the state because there's not that many players around.
Yeah,
so
it's crazy. I'm closer to Canada right now than I am to the Twin Cities.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I saw you got a few Manitoba girls this year.
Yep.
So yeah, that's got to pull from there. What are the goals we talk about usually when I talk to Christy Kopitz at Moorhead and other teams that like Sander are trying to work their way up the table. Sometimes the goal is just, improving on last year, but like what are the goals in terms of the team? Do you talk specifically about on the field goals or is it more, metaphorical than that?
I mean, kind of, sort of, like it's obviously improving on last year. We want to get better. We want to be in a better position in the rankings. But a big thing is for us with a whole new coaching staff is stabilizing the program and restructuring everything that we do.
Yeah.
So honestly, it's more of like off the field of like, do the players know what to expect from UMC soccer?
Yeah.
And that will really translate on the field. And I feel like we can see it a little bit more in each game that, okay, I get more. I understand more what's expected of me. So, yes, we want to see on the field performance improvement, score more goals, win more games, but also can we actually have set standards and set things within the program that are off the field?
Yeah, which will help. I mean, it's like you said, helps with recruiting. You got to do all of it. Yeah, to be able to improve without having a significant increase in resources or something like that. Culture is the way you do it by playing together. Yeah. So that makes sense. Have you been introduced to the Highway 75 rivalry? I know the Rock is in Moorhead, so you don't get to see it, but have you been introduced to the concept? Because I love it.
I was made aware of the Rock very, very quickly once I got to campus that it needs to come back to Crookston.
Yeah.
The girls have a lot of pride in that match and are very excited for it. Yeah.
One of the coolest trophies. Yeah. Well, we always post it because literally it's even people winning, the UMAC or the MIAC, it's not always some fancy or cool trophy. It just might be a plaque or whatever. This rock is sweet. Yeah. It's
like a full-on rock.
It's really heavy, I think, too, for what the players said. Yeah. Kind of have to team list it up together.
Yep.
Had you had trophy games playing at UWS? I'm guessing it's a kind of vibe with Scholastica because they were in the conference for a bit together. But even so, preseason and stuff, I would guess that must have been heated.
Yeah. So towards the end of my career, I don't know how. Yeah, we created a golden anchor because we are the two lake schools.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I know we have that rivalry. I mean, that rivalry's been unspoken for way longer than that golden anchor's been there.
Yeah.
But yeah, we had that huge rivalry, and that was always super exciting. Yeah. Even once they left, it was we still got to beat them.
Right. Yeah, and eventually, we'll talk about UWS a little more, but it really works out. It's a shame that they aren't in the same conference anymore, but yeah, UWS is doing well in the UMAC for sure. What are your goals as a coach for this year? So, aside from, helping the team win on the field, what for you, developing yourself and becoming a coach?
A big thing for me is developing consistency in how I coach. I am still super young. I'm developing a philosophy that translates to the college game because I've only been in the college game for 2 years as a coach. Mm-hmm. So really just developing a thorough coaching philosophy, coaching mindset that can translate to any position that I'm in.
Mm-hmm. How do you have to balance having some side gigs at coaching? Because it's tough. At the assistant roles, you usually have something else going on.
So I'm super fortunate here at Crookston where I don't have to do that. I can prioritize all of my time to college soccer. During the summers, I do pick up camps and things like that. Yeah. But I don't have to have a serving job or do DoorDash with this job. I'm doing pretty well. When I was down in Iowa, I had another job and I was a full-time coach. So I'm very lucky with the position that Crookston has put me in.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, that's one of the things about being in the being in the NSIC and, you know, being up a level. Hope that's makes it a lot easier to become a better coach.
Yes.
I'll take a moment just to thank our sponsors. First, Modist Brewing, who's one of our new partners. Absolutely love getting their gear. I get compliments bartending with it on in here, and we'll see some more. And then I also have to tell you that the show is brought to you by Pentz Homes. Whether you're buying or selling or looking to do some projects in your current home, Nate and Lydia can help you find what you need. Need financing for a basement remodel, looking at a second bath, or even a workspace. Now that you're working from home, Pentz Homes and their preferred lender, Angie Shear, with Luminant Financing, can help find the right financing tool for you. Go to pentzhomes.com or learn more on social media at Pentz Homes. I was just watching the Lynx playoff game with Nate Pentz yesterday. A great bar customer. You're a cobber for 1 year. It's a while ago now, so we're gonna draw on your memories of what you can remember. But what obviously you ended up transferring, but when you think of memories of that first year, what do you kind of take away from that?
Yeah, this is a long time ago, and I don't talk a ton about my time at the Cobbers because it was so short.
2017?
Yeah, I definitely learned a lot about myself as a human and what I needed to thrive. And it wasn't that environment, so I chose to leave, and that it was really tough, but I got to see what I work well with, what I didn't work well with. As a team, that's another team that wasn't in a super successful time in their career. And it was learning how to like conflict resolve with people that while you're in your lowest.
Yeah.
We were in the bottom of the conference, and that really shows a lot of like, how good are you at solving problems when everything feels like it's going wrong?
Yeah.
And I was dealing with a lot of like interpersonal things as well during that time that it was like, all right, it doesn't feel like it's getting better for me. So I'm going to open my wings and make that step that hopefully helps me have a more positive college career, which it worked out very well for me transferring. So
yeah, I love to hear that. That's a really good perspective, and I totally agree. I mean, that's knowing what your boundaries are and what you need to be successful. It's like take it, and some people do not learn that lesson ever. I mean, you know, it's better, easier said than done. So yeah, that's cool to hear you speak about it like that. How did you pick Superior then?
So Allison was actually my goalkeeping coach at Fusion Soccer Club in the Twin Cities before she got the job at Superior.
Yeah.
And I had remembered her, and I was like, where did she end up? I really liked her. I was like, she was a great goalkeeping coach. Like, I knew she had left for a college job after Augsburg, but I was like, she just like disappeared one day because she had to go off at Superior. Yeah. So I like Googled her, and I found her, and I was like, wait a minute. This program only has one goalkeeper that graduated. Maybe I could find a home here. So I did that whole process at the time because this is pre-transfer portal.
Yeah.
So you don't enter the portal at that time. So you like sign your self-release. You send it to their athletic director. And I was like, can I talk to her? And I got the green light, and the rest is history. I ended up at Superior.
Yeah, nice. And you went there at a good time. I mean, in the sense of they're a small school for the UW system in terms of like compared to, so I know they were really a team that was like the Cobbers and the MIAC, like having to fight uphill in the Wisconsin conference they were in, and then moving to the UMAC, which I'm a Morris grad, so I have no ill will towards Superior. Scholastica, I still have a little bitterness about, but
I'm glad we can agree.
On that we can agree. But UWF, they start winning. You play right away, but then you earn a bigger role kind of as you get older into the program. But then you end up making the first NCAA tournament ever when you're playing. So like talk about that. That must have been fun.
Yeah, that was a whirlwind. Like over the years, it's like it was very much like, oh, when we do that, if we can get there, like it wasn't something we ever like. We always wanted it, but we didn't know if it could happen. But we kept working hard for it. And we all knew what our obstacle was and who we had to beat to get there. And getting there, it was really like the cherry on top of my career. Like all the hard work, all the dedication that like the classes that I was a part of, the people that I worked with, even the people before me in Superior, like it really proved like everything that we sacrificed and we gave up for that did pay off.
Yeah. And you will, and even so, it's like, you don't make it past the first round, but I'm sure in some ways, just making it was the thing. And how did you win the championship game? Where was it? Like, was it at home, or where did you have to play like away to Northwestern?
Gosh, no. I have to like break my brain because this has been a couple of years now. I like don't remember these things. I believe we won it at home because we were the first seed of the conference tournament that year. So we were at home. And I just remember looking around at some of my teammates. There was another fifth year that was on the roster at the time.
Yeah.
And it was just like, did we actually just do that?
Yeah,
We're going to continue playing to a point we've never played before. This is all unknown. We had been to conference championship games before, but we've never national tournament. What is this?
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, it's a cool thing because it's, like you said, maybe you still keep playing, but you got to end, your career really kind of on a high. You've played a lot of different places, in terms of playing in the MIAC, UMAC, and then you coached in the Iowa Conference, which is now called the American Rivers Conference. Yep. And now the NSIC, I'm just curious, where were your favorite places to play? And either because it was it was a really nice field or stadium, or it's getting the win there over that team.
Yeah, so Scholastica's field's always going to have a special place in my heart. I think it was my sophomore year. We beat them to go to the championship game. We didn't win the championship game, but that was the first time maybe ever that we ever beat Scholastica.
Yeah, maybe.
And it was it was a center back who scores the goal, Aaron. It was an iconic moment, a super scrappy. It's not a pretty goal by any means, but just flicks it in. And that moment, will ever live in my memory. I have a picture where I run up to her and I'm bear hugging her. So that field has a forever locked in to my memory, especially with that lake view too in the background.
Nice. Yeah. I mean, Duluth ends up with some pretty sweet views over the lake, and it's just a really nice field. It's not some fancy stadium, but it's a really nice surface to play, a nice place to play for sure. Because at Superior, do you play in the football stadium, the UWS football stadium?
No, so we actually played on the high school field.
Oh, okay.
Fall of 2024, I believe they opened their brand new soccer and track facility.
Oh, nice.
We never actually played on a UWS field.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, the Superior, I mean, they have a nice setup too. Right on. Go Spartans. How do you consume the game now? Do you play? I mean, you're probably too busy coaching to play in a league, but do you
No, I don't play in a league anymore. I did. Being a goalkeeper put a lot of strain and wear on my body where I knew I needed to step back a little bit. But I do hop in time to time with the team.
Yeah.
Especially down when I was in Iowa. We had a smaller roster. Sometimes I had to hop in goal. Sometimes I had to hop in the field to make it even.
Yeah.
Up here, I don't have to do it as often, but I try to from time to time. Trying to make sure I can pull off a big save every once in a while if I need to. But I try to play, especially when I'm at camps and stuff, make it very not stressful, but no leagues right now.
Yeah. Well, and I'm sure, does it feel that you're still pretty young, but does it feel different than when you were a player and fully in player shape?
Yeah. Oh gosh, it does.
The keeper stuff comes back because you just are less kind of calloused or you get so many bruises probably on your hips and arms and everything.
Yeah. I have a moment where we were playing at Northwestern and I leaped for this ball and I tip it up. But the bottom bar in a goal, I landed on that. And that wears and tears on your body. It doesn't feel good.
Yeah.
I've got some pretty gnarly memories of injuries and things like that.
Yeah, I could imagine. I have not dove for a save in a long time, and I don't know how it would feel. How do you watch soccer? Or are you just kind of so busy? I mean, obviously you have to watch tape. You're doing film and everything. Do you then watch an NWSL game or watch, the Women's World Cup this summer?
Yeah, I mean, I watched all of the Women's World Cup that I could, except that 4 a.m. game.
Those are tough. Yeah.
I was not getting up for that. That was right before preseason started.
Yeah.
But I try to watch as much as I can, especially Aurora, NWSL, things that translate to my job because I can learn a lot from that. there are times where I'm like, yeah, I'm not watching any soccer right now because it is my life. I do consume a lot of soccer all the time.
Yeah.
But give or take, I watch quite a bit of it.
Yeah. So do you have to run? Are you someone who like gets assigned to running film sessions because like you and Matt kind of split coverage of it or something like that, or how does that work with film?
Give or take, I do a lot of the breakdown of the film, so finding the clips to add to the film sessions, and Coach Neil does a lot of the like talking, actual like technical, tactical points of it, but I do a lot of the actual breakdown of the game.
Nice. Who's your favorite player? The first player you remember like being a fan of when you were a kid, even maybe?
Oh, God. Alex Morgan has a special place in my heart.
Okay.
Alex Morgan or Hope Solo are like those two that I remember as a very young kid watching. Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. Hope Solo. Yeah. I'm sitting right underneath Brianna Scurry there. So, So shout out to Brianna, one of the saints of the Blackheart. So you lived in a lot of different like college type towns, like smaller places after like growing up in the Twin Cities, obviously Apple Valley and Edina High School.
Yeah.
But so Crookston is kind of a uniquely small town of the places you've lived too. And I went to school in Morris, which is very similar. And we had to be very creative sometimes to have fun in that small town. You're working, so you're a little more busy. But what's something you miss from, like, say, if you were in the cities or even from living in Duluth or Superior?
I would say that it was like the community I had outside of like soccer or like outside of my like job. I definitely had like a wider array of things like to do. Like I had. I was a kid, so I didn't have that many friends outside of soccer, but getting to do a lot more things. Like, yes, we have Grand Forks, which is about 30 minutes from here. Or I had Duluth, which was just across the border.
Right.
Or I had Sioux City when I was down in Iowa. But it was definitely just like the ease of having different kinds of lifestyle down in the cities. But
or just like different restaurants, maybe, or something like that. Yeah. I'm assuming you gotta be hitting up the Pizza Ranch, Morgan. That's what I did.
Yep, definitely have done that at least once, but I try my best when I go recruiting down, especially in the cities, because that's where I'm born and raised, not to just go to like my safe options of like Raising Cane's and Chipotle.
Yeah. You're like,
I eat a little different because I eat a lot of the same things up here.
Yeah, totally. Oh yeah, no, I get it. That's what going to college in a small town, that was kind of it too. Like, we hadn't even had Chipotle, but all the suburb kids were dying. It was like 2010. They're like, oh my God. And we had an actual Mexican burrito stand. I was like, dude, there's a real dude out here making we got it.
Yeah, that is the one thing about Storm Lake, Iowa, is they had a couple places that were authentic, like Mexican food. Can I bring that with me wherever I go?
Yeah. That would be by the way, I would think if you were trying to find a league to play in Crookston, probably the best soccer league you could join is probably some underground Hispanic league you got to find your way into, because Morris had a couple of those, and it was it's good. Well, awesome, Morgan. Thank you so much for joining. Crookston plays next. Sioux Falls, they play at home this Sunday at 1 p.m. The Highway 75 rivalry rock game, which I had mentioned, is Sunday, October 8th. So we'll definitely promote that. That's a lot of good fun. And then I don't know if you want to just give a shout out of how people can stay engaged with you on social media or otherwise with the team.
Yeah. So MN Crookston Soccer, some abbreviation of that on any social media. We do a really good job of staying up to date with what we're doing, the game promotions and all of that.
Right on. Stay into it. And also this was in the D2 piece they put out last week, but Crookston does do a great job of doing like intro to player videos, and they have all that. So that makes it so much easier to be a fan. So check out their YouTube, check out their website, and good luck next week, Morgan.
Thank you.
Thank you.